It is Kenny from Kenny's Audiophile Record Reviews. Thank you very much for viewing my channel. What a blessing it is to talk to you. Please like and subscribe if you could. I really appreciate that. In this video, I like to discuss or give my opinions on analog and digital. It's been going back and forth between us audiophiles for years, if not decades. So I like to give my 2 cents. But before that, what we have in the spotlight today, the Young Rascals, otherwise known as the Rascals. When I was a little kid, what a fabulous group they were. Like I said, I remember them when I was a little kid, hearing them on the radio. Man, they were a great group. This is a stereo original pressing, mono original pressing. Yeah, like I said, when I was a kid, they were one of the groups for sure. Anyway, like I said, this analog and digital debate, it's get somewhat controversial and a little bit testy here and there, depending on who's talking about it. But I'm gonna give my opinion and see what you think. You leave your comments in the comment section below. But I'm gonna start off by talking about one end of the spectrum, and that end of the spectrum is your average, everyday music listener or lover. They're listening in their truck, they're listening in their car, they're listening on their cell phone, they're listening through their TV, through their satellite or cable provider. That person does not care one way or other about analog versus digital. They don't care about any of that. All they want to do is hear their favorite song or their favorite album. The average person does not care about a 3D soundstage, a 3D axis, whether this pressing sounds better than that pressing. That's an audiophile thing. It really is. And even if some of these people, their systems are set up to receive a 3D image, a 3D stereo image, they don't know how to properly utilize it. If a sweet spot is here, they're off in a corner somewhere reading a magazine or something. They simply don't care. Moreover, most of them, their systems aren't even set up, like I said, to receive a 3D image. I only know two people who own a turntable. The average person, like I said, simply doesn't care. I've had a small amount of people in my music room, and I don't want to sound arrogant. I don't want to come across that way, but just hear me out. And I want to sound like some, immature teenager. I know my system sounds good, and those people who've been in my music room, they didn't rush out and buy a brand new system because they like to listen to music in their own way, and they're not into it like I am. Audiophiles, I think, are an extremely small niche portion of the population. They're extremely small. Most people don't care about critical listening like we do. Like I said, my average person listens to a digital file through the sources I just mentioned, the cell phone, their satellite TV provider. They're listening in their truck or something like that, their car, So they don't care. And then you have the middle, I consider myself a mid-fi guy. I don't have an extremely high-end system. I just simply don't. I'll leave my system in the comment description below. But I embrace digital and I embrace analog. I embrace both of them. And I think there are positive aspects for both. There are some cases where, some of these pressings, these newer pressings, like the newer UHQR pressings by Analog Productions, the newer pressings by MoFi, it's a Craft Recording, some of their exclusive pressings. They're $100 on up. They're kind of pricey. And digital provides an inexpensive alternative, especially if you're listening to SACDs and high-res, downloads that could cost like anywhere from $20 on up, that rival the sound of some of these newer issues. They may not exceed it, they may not match it, but we have on this case an album that costs $125 and a digital download, let's say that costs $25, and a digital download, let's say it's a 192 24-bit file. Okay? And the price difference is this wide, but the sound difference is this wide. So you can see digital definitely does have its place. Albeit, to me, all things being equal, if the album analog source and a digital source are mastered and it came from the same mastering, the same source, more times than not, you know, the analog is going to sound better than digital, in my opinion. You know, more times than not, it will. But there are some cases, depending on the pressing that you have, the digital can sound better than the analog, because a lot of people cannot afford, like I said, to buy these, you know, pricey $125, $100 reissues. A lot of people can't afford to pay $500 for some of these original pressings. So having like a high-res file or an SACD can get them close to that. So we have to respect that. We have to respect that. Also, the way they're making digital technology with SACD players and DACs, where the distance between, you know, analog and digital initially was this wide, because of the digital technology and its advances, that gap is closing. So we have to keep that in mind too. So digital, in my opinion, should not be ignored. Moreover, music to me is something you measure with your ears. That's the ultimate listening test. It's something you don't necessarily measure with a scope or a meter. Just like the love for your wife, the love for your husband, the love for your boyfriend or girlfriend. You don't measure that with an external device, you measure that with your heart. Same with music listening. You measure that with your ears. So those of you who are against digital, please keep that in mind. You measure music with your ears, not with a meter or scope. Just a personal opinion. Now let me give another case for digital as well. There's this audiophile that I follow on YouTube, and I love this guy to death. He has a great channel. He's a good advocate for record collectors and audiophiles. He makes all the sense in the world. He's one of the best guys out there. I got nothing but love and praise for him. But anyway, this person has an online presence and a website. I'm not going to call him out by name. That's not necessary, okay? But he has this list called an all analog in print top 100 records list, okay? Now, on this list, or a few, and I don't know how many, mobile fidelity pressings, okay? They're on his list. Now, when this mobile fidelity issue came out, whenever it did, about them using digital in their mastering chain, it might have caught him off guard a little bit, because after all, it's an all analog top 100 albums list. So he was in a little bit of a dilemma there, you know, about what to do. But the point I'm making is some digital sources or some albums that had digital in their manufacturing chain were good enough to make his top 100 all analog albums list, okay? Now, I don't know what became of that list. I don't know if he, you know, took those MoFi albums off. I don't know if he, you know, halted, you know, showing his list from now. I honestly don't know what came of the list. But, and oh, by the way, he's one of the most discerning and serious audiophiles you can see. I've seen his rig on YouTube, and it's super high end. So he knows what he's doing. But my point is, digital was good enough to make his list. But what came to my mind about his list is, he should keep those MoFi albums on the list and change the name of the list to top 100 all analog in print albums to top 100 albums, period, whether they're digital or analog. If there's a place for digital on your all analog list, that means they're good enough to be on the list. So just change the name of the list. Like I said, I don't know what became of the list. I don't know. But that's just my opinion. I think there's a place for digital. And I understand how some of the serious analog audiophiles could have some concern for digital, because initially, you know, digital was not that good in the beginning. and some could be, living off that sting from yesteryear of how digital was. But digital, like I said, the digital technology has closed the gap, so it should be at least ignored or investigated, in my opinion. I embrace both of them because I think they both, digital analog, because they both have something to offer. I sincerely do. That's just my opinion. But I want to leave you with this thought, and it's very important. When I was like in the 7th grade, there used to be a sports talk radio show here in the greater Los Angeles area of Southern California. A sports talk radio show. I think at the end of the show, the host used to say, in the department store of life, sports is in the toy department. In the department store of life, sports is in the toy department. I have the same thought or feeling about audiophiles. In the department store of life, being an audiophile with all of its trinkets, all of our SACD players, all of our DACs, all of our tube amplifiers, our high-end speakers, our reel-to-reels. When you think of the most important things in life and the most trivial things in life, being an audiophile is like down here. In the grand scheme, it's not that important. So I put being an audiophile in the toy department of life. But in that toy department, there's an analog aisle and a digital aisle. I think it's wise to shop in both aisles because they both have something very positive to offer. That's just my opinion. What's yours? Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Please like and subscribe. As always, mad love, God bless, love, and peace to all.